Hey everyone, I'm Mark,
And I'm Alex.
and this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks. Alright, welcome everyone back to episode 40 of the Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks podcast. If you're new and joining us, of course, we are so glad you're here, but you're joining us at the end of this game. We're at the end of 9. If you want to start it at the very beginning, you need to go back to episode 6. You can binge listen, I don't know what you need to do, but if you want to kind of like start off at the beginning of the game, that is where you're going to go. We only have probably a couple more episodes left in 9, and so last episode we kind of laid it out that there are like the end game enemies or the end game kind of like last zones or bosses or whatever. We'll probably hit it next episode, I would imagine. There's not a whole lot left. And so if you're kind of still waiting on that stuff, well, we apologize. But, hey, we got like 15 bosses to go through today. So, there you go. All right, man. Exactly. Let's hop into it. So where we left off was we were at that kind of Alexandria part where we had the castle in the background and it was it was Aiko's daggers and Zidane's memory, and we saw the destruction of it and all that. And then actually the very, very last thing we did was we head back to Limblum and we did that that side quest. Now, Alex and I literally right before we started recording here, we had this conversation. We've been calling it Nero, right? Like Gennaro, Bonero, Zenero. And then we talked about, we're like, we actually don't know. Is it Nero? Is it Gennaro, Zenero, Bonero? We don't know. So if you've been really angry at us this whole time, you're going to be hearing, I'm warning you now though, I'm kind of saying this because we are going to be saying these names so many times. Yeah. So if you do go ahead and move forward from that screen, it's just kind of a really small area. We got a couple of these coming up here in Memoria where it's just like next to nothing in some of these and stuff, but it's just kind of like a little staircase that kind of just, I think you go up because I think you're going up this whole entire time. So yeah, it's just kind of wraps around. Nothing really there at all. It is an interesting spot though. I do really like it because unfortunately, we don't have infinite amounts of time. We can't just sit here and explain everything and talk about every little detail. That would be fantastic, but of course, most of you would be bored to death, and we would be in episode like probably 82 right now. So one cool thing though I do like about this, man, is it's got a bunch of floating stuff.
All of these places are kind of weird, and it's going through this whole situation where they're seeing scenes that they can't understand how they're seeing it, right? Because they weren't there to have it in their memory. So it's just, I guess this is why they call the place Memoria, is we're trying to get to the bottom of how the heck they have these memories while they're there, but they weren't actually there, stuff like that. So
it is interesting, man, because we think about this and the premise, and what Garland told us last episode was, Memoria, place of memories, all this stuff is, it's memories. And it is kind of interesting, right? Because it's like, this whole location, it changes quite a bit, you know what I mean? Like, and I guess that would make sense, I'm just talking about like the style, architecture, and all that kind of different settings here. I mean, is it all from their memories, or, are there like things past, like for instance, the phantoms that we've been talking about, that they're contributing to the memories also? So it's kind of confusing, to be honest.
It is, yeah. Because we're doing our best to try and like figure out where these places are. Some are pretty obvious, like the scene with the castle in Alexandria and things like that. But others, like the spiral staircase with the floating stuff, I have no idea what that's supposed to be in reference of.
Exactly. I mean, it's cool. My first initial thought when I saw it was it kind of looked like the Prima Vista when it crashed, right?
Oh,
and stuff. But then you look at the rest of it and it doesn't fit. So anyways, we digress. Moving forward, you do go to the next screen. So go to the next screen, and it's something kind of really quick. Because Zidane's just like, it's a storm. And it doesn't seem like much, but actually you can go back to Limblum now. So that was the trigger. You can go back to Limblum. So this is, remember, there are 18 total opportunities for you to go back, apparently. In order to complete it, you only need to hit 9 of them. So this, for us, because we're just going back every single time for the initial ones, which I would highly recommend, is number 5. So you go back to Limum, right? You go to the theater district, you try to walk into the hideout, and out comes Banera, or Banera, whatever you want to call it. And that, I don't, is that supposed to be like a female one? I don't know, because if if we're thinking something similar to like, the Spanish language, you got the words that are based on, your sex and all that kind of stuff. And so maybe it's that, I don't know. That's what I'm just maybe thinking about it. But Banera is looking for Zanero, Banero, Gennaro, Dinero, and Pinero. I best go look for him. The hilarious thing with this, though, man, is, for whatever reason, they always say the 2 lines, right? They say, where did all these people go? I'm going to go look for them. But now, starting from now on forward, it's so hysterical. There's like a little heart emoji at the end of the sentences. And it's like, what is this? So that kind of makes me think it a little more, maybe they are the females, or something. But it's just, it's like, okay, that's a little random, whatever.
This is the weirdest side quest thing that I've ever heard of in this game. I've never done this before, so I'm definitely gonna give this a try myself.
Oh, it is. It is awesome, especially when you have those modifiers in which you can just ramp up the speed, no battles, hoof it back and forth, no problem. So that is the next little stint in that side quest. Just another thing that's kind of close is there is a Defense Phantom card master. Remember, we were going to kind of tell you about them. We're essentially done talking about cards for the most part. We'll just let you know when these Phantoms, because, all these Phantoms here, they play very specific cards, very strong cards, and so, again, that's just a really good resource to kind of to figure out which ones have the cards that you need. You can just look it up online.
Basically, you play them a couple times, you'll get a feel for what type of cards they play, and then you can just fill out the collection from there.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, this screen actually has a whole lot of stuff, because if you just go ahead and move forward, we get some really interesting things, and we have a lot to kind of talk about in this episode, so we might be going a little long here, everyone, but we're at the end of the game. We kind of have to talk about this stuff. So Zidane sees a boat and sees someone that's cloaked. Looks like an adult or something, right? And then a small child comes out, and he's just, he's talking like, yo, hold up, what are you doing? Don't go out to sea, like it's storming, We, of course, we know what this is, right? We know that this is the premise to that initial, very first scene of the game, where Dagon or her mom are going out, and we know that's how her mom died and all that stuff. And it's interesting because Zidane should have probably remembered this a little bit. He was in the boat with Garland, during that stuff. But the whole thing with this, though, is he's just really confused. Like, why did I see that? That's not my memory. Like, I didn't do that. And of course, here comes Dagger, and she's like, she actually didn't say anything to Zidane. It was all internally in her mind. But she's like, that was, how could he see it? That was my memory. She knows exactly what that was. And so, Zidane does what any person does when, they're just talking to a god, essentially. Is, hey, man, what's up, dude? He's like, Garland, where you at, dude? I need some answers. And, Garland's nice enough. He doesn't really help the situation. I think he said that what he feared the most was Gaia's Eidolons, and they had to take care of that problem, is essentially what it is. Doesn't give you any more info than that.
I think it's crazy how, it's funny how we're so close to the end of the game, and it's still tying back to that initial scene that you see in the first basically in the first minute of even starting a new game. That's crazy to me. It's like, I don't know, it's just a really well written story, to be honest. It is. Because it gives you that sort of foreshadowing scene where you're like, what the heck is going on? And we're still sort of seeing parts of that we hadn't seen before.
Well, like you said, it kind of just keeps tying back. All right, well, great thing is you can add a hop back to Limel again. There's 18 spots, so of course they're going to be tied together. So this is number 6 of 9. If you head back to the theater district, head to the door. Out comes Zanera. I'm just going to say she, because I'm just going to say they're girls. She is looking for Zanero, Banero, Gennaro, Dinero, Pinero, and Banera.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm going to go look for them. Little heart emojis, everything. So, we'll put a pin in that. We'll return to it quite soon, I'm sure. At this point, once you do eventually work back to Memoria and we get to the same location, we're kind of on that bridge stuff, move into the next one, and we get a really cool screen. It's kind of like ruins or something, right?
Yeah, it's like a hurricane with the eye up in the sky,
Yeah.
basically, that kind of thing. And then it's like what you said, these sort of pillars and ruins, and then a staircase leading up to the eye. But it's really cool that like the clouds are circulating around it like a hurricane or something.
And Garland pipes in again, and he actually now gives a little bit more info. He like now he addressed. He's like, oh yeah, crap, I gotta talk to him. I totally forgot to tell him what I was gonna tell him. And he's like, and he tells Zidane that whole boat scene that he just seen. He was like, actually, dude, that is your memory. It's not Garnet's. And he says that specifically. And so it's like, what are you talking about, man? It's like we saw that happen, kind of a deal. And so very confusing. And kind of just a line I put in there that's kind of interesting is that Garland says, once you accept everything, the answer will appear before you. It's pretty interesting stuff. He also talks about kind of like there was a strong power coming to Gaia in a time of war, and they weren't ready for it. Gaia, that is. And so they split the jewel into 4 pieces. It's jumping all around here, if it's confusing, well, I think it's supposed to be. But now Garland is talking to us about that, right? We already knew about this jewel. We've talked about it a couple times, and we already knew it was split into 4 pieces and stuff. And, I don't know. Hopefully we'll get some more info about that at some point.
But aside from that, if you go off to the left, there's like a little nook that you can find a new weapon for Amarant, the Rune Claws, which is pretty sweet. That's one of his best, if not the best. Right?
I think it is the best. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's really good. Awesome weapon for Amarant. And, well, it will come into handy in a second, but you can head back to Limbum right now. So if you take yourself all the way back.
This is crazy.
Go to the door in Theater District, and out comes Genera. So Genera, he's like, or she's like, hey, where did Zanero, Banero, Gennaro, Dinero, Panero, Banera, and Zanera go? I'll go look for him. And off it goes.
These guys really need like a cell phone or something like that, or walkie-talkie, something to stay in context so they don't have to keep saying all those names.
Yeah. Dude,
where are you guys?
It's great because, of course, the text boxes for their, when they come out and say it just keeps getting larger and larger with all the names and stuff, heart emojis. And so we're at 7 out of 9, so we only got 2 more to go. You head back, though, and you head up to the eye in the sky and the staircase. We now get our next battle. So this is Tiamat. Should look familiar. Before we get into it, we'll go ahead and do the steals. 100% is... It's a blood sword. Interesting. Yep. Right? So if you did not get the first one, this is essentially the only other chance you have, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not a very good sword at this point in the game, but it's missable. So I guess that's the whole point, because its attack power is just garbage at this point.
Yes.
But aside from that, 25% for the feather boots, which again, meh. And then, man, they really made this tough.
Yeah, they did.
Grand Helm is only a 0.39%, so that's pretty rough.
Which I think matches the armor. I think that's exactly both the rates. So as we discussed last episode, with all these steals and stuff, it's just up to you at this point. If you never did get the blood sword because you didn't do Stelazio coins, well, here you go, just for the sake of collecting it. And then, the grand armors in general, I don't think it's worth it, man. Especially moving through Memoria and finding these bosses, you should definitely be getting enough gil to afford them. So I guess at that point, it's really just if you have the required materials.
Yeah, and it's really not a game changer either. It's just going to reduce damage a little bit, and then that's it. It's nothing.
Yeah, especially at this point.
The abilities.
Yeah. And so I just a little thought I had, because I was fighting this dude, and I was just playing, going through it, having fun, doing the notes, and I was like, wait a second. I was like, this was the dude that Steiner and Vivi fought, right? And I was like, why doesn't Steiner just go out and hold him down again? He did it the first time. I'll hold him down. Vivi, you use your magic. Dude, Steiner, just hold him down, man. We'll fight him.
Yeah, they were complaining about him moving too much, but he never moves. He doesn't evade anything. He just sits there. So I don't know what they were having a hard time with.
Dude, how hysterical, though. How hysterical would this battle be like if you couldn't use Steiner? Because in the background of the model, he's just like holding onto like Tiamat's tail or something. He's like, and he's just like wrestling it, Oh gosh, that'd be so hysterical.
Exactly, because you gotta wonder how. Steiner's about 1/10 of his size or something like that.
He's got 3 heads, man.
Yeah, like holding his tail, like you said, or something.
Yeah, it's like Shrek against the dragon. But anyways, yes, not too difficult, right? He does have some interesting abilities, some new ones.
Yeah, and I mean, right off the bat, I think the worst thing that this guy uses, or at least in my experience, the one that always gets me is his
Yes.
Twister. Number one, he's
Twister.
got Twister,
Yeah.
so that's real fun to deal with again. He also has another move called Jetfire that's pretty annoying. It does hits everybody, does a pretty decent amount of
Yeah.
damage, and it can inflict heat. Aside from that, he'll probably mostly spend his time just sitting there using his absorb moves. He uses
Yeah.
absorb MP, absorb magic, absorb strength. I've never even noticed it really doing anything, like
Dude,
increasing his strength,
yeah,
doing
it must be
anything.
minuscule amounts. That's probably has to use it all the time. But no, yes. So Twister and Jetfire, like Alex just said, I mean, those are gonna probably be, well, I mean, essentially those are kind of like the only real threats. I mean, he does use Silent Claw, which put it together, it's a physical attack that inflicts silence possibly. And so that is kind of a single target physical attack, but we already know about Twister. That move's so sucky. And then Jetfire, like you said, yeah, dude, it was doing about 2,000 to 3,000 on mine, so it
That's
hits
a
enough.
lot.
And then an interesting thing is he will cast Float. It did not happen when I fought him, but he can do it. In this, you might be like, okay, why does he use Float? Well, you dispel it as soon as you can, hopefully.
Yeah, because I had no idea. So he'll counter with Snort, which basically that move sucks. We'll get to
Yes.
that with a little post-game enemy later on, but basically what Snort does is it permanently ejects a character from the battle. You
Yes.
can't revive them, you can't bring them back. So it's pretty bad. So if, like what Mark was saying, if one of your characters gets floated, just use Dispel. Don't attack because then you're gonna lose that character. It's real bad.
Yes. And an interesting thing, too, is that apparently he's susceptible to sleep. So,
That's
I mean,
weird. I've never tried that.
honestly, in any other situation, you wouldn't want to do that, but because you're obviously trying to kill him and attacking him. But I don't know. Let's just say he floats a couple characters and you're waiting for it to, you can wait it out. You can put it to sleep if you want. Honestly,
Yeah.
I don't think it's really that big of a deal. He's not that difficult. And then something that even makes this way easier is if you have Rosetta Reins on. You should probably have at least a couple of them, and so at least a couple of people will be able to absorb that fire damage from Jetfire and just heal him right up, essentially. So between
Yeah.
that and just having body temp on, I don't think there's really too much to that guy.
Nah, not much.
All right, well, we are, of course, going to continue, but we are going to do our bold move first. All right, brother, why don't you go ahead and start us off this time?
All right, so we're always trying to come up with these, and I can't believe I forgot about this one. This is just such an obvious bold move from Final Fantasy VIII.
Okay.
You know the little Chocobo side quest.
Yes.
Well, how about the Chocoboy charging you 700 gil every single time you get your whistle stolen?
Hey, dude. He's trying to buy a Mercedes, man. It's expensive.
I love that though. It's like, you just
Yeah.
you hit it at the wrong spot, and then the freaking Chickabo or whatever comes out and steals your
Steals the
whistle. It's like,
whistle,
oh,
yeah.
700 gil.
I know, right? What is he? He opened up a whistle stand there. He's like, this force is good. People losing their whistles all the time. I'll set up a little whistle stand. So he just has a bucket of whistles and then a giant treasure chest full of money because he's highway robbery, man.
Yeah, and just the fact that he's just hanging out in the forest by himself the whole time.
I know,
He's
little
at every
boy.
part, he's just
What are you
chilling
doing,
there.
dude?
Yeah.
Go home, work the fields. That is a bold move, man. That's a good one. I like that.
What you got?
All right, well, I'm gonna go to Final Fantasy VII again, and
Nice.
I was thinking about this. I'm like at the very beginning, right? Very, very beginning. I was like, it kind of was a bold move for especially Barrett, but of course, the other slight comments here and there, for hassling Cloud so much.
Yeah.
Giving him a hard time. Because I say it's a bold move because what if, at that moment Cloud was like, you know what, screw you guys, I'm out of here. Boom, no more story. Final Fantasy VII's over. Bold move,
Yeah,
man.
seriously, then Barrett would have been the main character, and who knows what would have happened? That would have been crazy.
Would have used Jesse or something. Headband
Yeah, I mean,
attack or, I don't know.
You got that would be so funny if like Wedge and Biggs were actually playable characters
Yeah.
and all that.
Seriously. But I was like, man, they're just giving him a bold. They hire him to help, and then they just hassle him the whole time. Bold move.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. Well, those are our bold moves for this episode, and let's continue on in Memoria. So after the battle, we're gonna move. Nope, actually, you can go back to Limblum. So going back to Limblum, going to the doorway. Zidane jumps back, and now we got Daenerys, and she's like,
Nero.
"Where did Zanero, Benero, Gennaro, Danero, Panero, Benera, Zanera, and Gennaro go? I'll go look for him." And so it's stacking up. Here we go. So that's 8 out of 9. We're almost there. And so we'll see what happens with that on the next one. But essentially, after the boss, if you just kind of move forward, it's really interesting. I don't know what this is supposed to be, man. I don't know if maybe you have a little more insight into this. It's essentially like what? It kind of looks like a town or a castle or a city or something. And now on this specific screen of this area, it's in ruins, right? It's like it's been destroyed. There's fire all over it and stuff. I mean, do you happen to maybe know where this is?
I have no idea, but I was thinking about it too because it kind of, I mean, it's sort of like a castle town looking place. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, real small alley with tall buildings on the side, kind of deal.
It's like a mix between Limblum and Alexandria in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is really hard to tell because we don't really know where it is. But
well, that's the thing. Yeah, it's a whole new kind of scene that we haven't seen in Alexandria or Limblum, and that's actually an interesting point because I guess it could be either of them because both of them were attacked at some point, and the memories and stuff. But regardless, nothing really to do here. You just got to head up, and you kind of get to like a smaller room. Nothing else here, but there is the Strong Phantom card master. So if you want to play some more cards, there you go. A much different scene though when you go out the other side. There's greenery, there's stuff growing, the birds are out and singing, you hear church bells, it's all sunny and stuff, and it's just like, what the heck is going on, man? Like I don't understand any of this.
Weird. It's like really weird, but basically, you just go up those stairs through the little archways with the bells and all that kind of stuff. Then you get to an even weirder place where it's like sort of a twisting path. You're going like upside down a little bit, and you've got these two planets colliding into each other. It's just absolutely epic. I mean, honestly, they really did save the best for the last in this game as far as the visuals.
Yeah, I mean, this place is fantastic, and then this scene. I mean, because it's a walkway as usual, and it's winding around. But no, and very, very interesting thing. You did, of course, mention the planets that look like they're colliding, and that's what Zidane kind of comments on. But here comes good old Santa Garland, and he kind of gives a little more info, talking about how 5,000 years ago was when Terra, Terra was an old planet at that point, and it was looking to assimilate Gaia, and they needed a younger planet to survive. So that's kind of when, here's the time frame for us. Now we know about 5,000 years ago. But he said there was already life on Gaia. So the story began, meaning, and so I guess that's interesting because let's just actually think about this with what info we have right now. So essentially this planet is floating through space? Is that what it is? And it's, it's going through its life cycle as a planet. When it dies, it finds another planet and then assimilates it so that way Terra can continue living on. I mean, that's what I'm gathering at least.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, and we got a little bit of this information back at Terra as well, right? Where they were kind of talking about the assimilation of the two planets and all that kind of stuff. But even after all of this stuff, it's still so confusing.
It's very interesting. He also talked about how like life on Terra was coming to an end. I mean, and so they had no choice. And so that's kind of like, I guess, the structure of the wording sentence. It kind of seems like usually Terra would pick planets that didn't have life on it, or when they got to Gaia, they're like, dude, we got to eat this planet or whatever the heck it happens. And they're like, crap, there's life here. But he's like, man, they had no choice. They had to do it. Terra was coming to an end. So they had no choice. And an interesting thing, though, but it says the fusion destroyed Terra's native civilizations. So it's kind of interesting because obviously when we were at Terra, we already know, the people, the Denzians, whatever, where they were in those pods waiting to be woken up. So it's kind of very interesting about this. Why did the fusion, kill Terra's civilization? I mean, that doesn't mean it's like it backfired, almost kind of a deal or something. But he then decided to go ahead and create the Ifa tree to then filter souls back to Terra. So we're kind of getting a little more info here. It's still incredibly confusing. I mean, again, I think it's we're stopping in the middle of things and, trying to dissect it as best we can. But yeah, very, very interesting conversation from Garland.
Yeah, seriously. And all goes back to the Ifa tree, as always.
Yeah, it's like the
crazy.
Anchor. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
well, this is our opportunity to head back to Limblum to finish off this side quest. So this is number 9 of 9 for kind of the side quest. 9 of 18 in total opportunities. So we'll continue to give you those just in case you're curious. But go ahead and go back to Limblum. You'll head into the theater district door. And out comes, actually, a tiny little one. I got the screenshot. It looks like a little kid, one of them. It's a short little fella. And this is Panera. And Panera is like, where did Zanero, Banero, Gennaro, Dinero, Panero, Banera, Zanera, Gennara, and Dinera go? I will go look for him. And I'll be honest, man, because I did this. I did this morning before we were doing that. I was kind of let down because that was it. There was nothing extra. And so the only extra is if you go back to the door right after that. This is how you kind of know you finished it. Well, you got two things, is Zidane now does make a comment. He says, that's one big family. He's like, man, I feel dizzy.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
okay,
two.
So you get a
that's two of us, pal.
man.
Yeah. And then of course the for sure knowing is that if you do once you go into the hideout, there is a new chest now on the left that has a protect ring. So I mean, obviously the protect ring isn't the prize. The real prize is just kind of going through all that, Really, really kind of interesting, man. Never knew that. Just fantastic little kind of Easter egg.
That is really cool. I didn't know anything about that either. I mean, it's kind of cool that they give you something for it too. And a protect ring, I mean, like what you said, not a crazy prize, but it's still pretty good. Yep. And you get to see all those scenes, so that's really funny.
Absolutely. And so that was 9 of 9. That is the Nero, whatever, side quest. I would highly recommend doing it. It is kind of a pain in the butt, especially like, you think about this point where we're all the way, we're pretty far into this in Memoria. And so I will say, man, the last few, like 7, 8, 9, heading back and forth, I was like, oh my gosh. And I created a separate save for this. So that way I could just turn on, like all the modifiers to zoom in and out, in and out, It still took me a little while. So it's just, yes. I can see on the original version how very few people probably have ever done this because that'd probably been like, an additional 40 to an hour, of going back and forth like that.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And the thing is, back before you had like, a guide and things like that, you'd kind of have to guess. So you just head back to Limblum, see if you get a scene.
Yeah, seriously.
All that kind of stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, I literally no idea how in the world you would ever know that. But regardless, now we can move on. The next area, once you kind of go through that sideways castle, it's kind of cool, man. There's like a waterfall on the bridge. There is a save point, so, we haven't really encountered one in a little while, and so that's obviously there for you. And this is now when what? Now, we did talk about the Stilva, of course, the Stilva enemy that is on the last episode. We skipped the Behemoth because I knew that one, at least, was for a fact here. So we'll talk about the Behemoth now, man. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's a pain. I mean, just because of his meteor attack, he's got this counter. I think he uses a counter to physical damage, right?
I think so, yep.
Meteor just sucks. It has really like high damage constant and then some variability around it, so can do a lot of damage, hits all your party members. Other than that, I don't think he's that big of a deal. He just uses like basic physical attack, which
heave or
does
something like
decent
that.
Amount of decent amount of damage.
I mean, the fact that he does counter physical damage kind of sucks for me. I was just fleeing from when I encounter. I'm like, man, I just don't even want to deal because I'm not using Vivi, man. I'm using Zidane, Amber, and Freya. All I'm doing is physical attacks, and so I could summon with Garnet, and do stuff like that. But I'm like, you know what? I'd flee. I don't. It's definitely, I would say, they're definitely much easier to fight if you have Vivi in the party.
I would say so too. He's kind of a mainstay party member at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That I'm not using because no kids allowed. All right, so you move across the bridge. I mean, it wouldn't be Final Fantasy IX if we didn't have another hilarious Kina scene. And so here comes Kina swimming, man. She's like, ooh.
Yeah, I love this part. It's just like she's swimming around trying to catch the fish or something like that.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I can't breathe. And then Zidane comes walking in and is just like, what are you talking about? I can breathe just fine. And she's swimming swimming around, and hilarious scene as usual.
Yeah. Yeah, like what, starts choking and
Yeah.
the thing that I think is most funny here is the kind of like Looney Tune situation here where okay, we know this is all in her mind. Why is she able to swim? Like there's no
Exactly.
actual water and she's just swimming around. It's like I said, like Looney Tune. It's like when they're running off a cliff and they like stop in the second in air and look down. They're like, oh crap. It's like what she did. It's like, oh, that's in my mind, and then she floats down to the ground. She's like, oh yeah, I'm fine now. It's
Yeah,
like, what's
exactly.
going on, man? This is hysterical.
Yeah, so I guess apparently, like, whatever you think in Memoria, you can actually do.
You can do, yeah.
I don't know.
That's dangerous. Well, if you did not go back to Limbo for the total of 9 times now, maybe you missed one or whatever, this is going to be another opportunity. So this is, from here on, we'll just kind of call them like total opportunities, I guess. You know, so this is like number 10 out of 18. Interesting thing, I did go back because I was like, I'm just curious. Does it end? What happened? You know, is it just not going to be anything? I went to the door. Guess who out came? Well, it was Nero and Nero, and they're like, oh, we're looking for Cinna and Marcus. We'll go find them. You know, and I'm like, what the heck happened? Did they just start all the way over again? And so
they'll just start looking for each other again.
I don't know, right? So at that point, I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. And so I did not go back again. I actually just turned the game off because I was at the end of my notes. And so I will test it going forward. But if it just goes through it again, it's like, that's kind of lame, you know?
That's weird.
Yeah, I don't know why it did that. Maybe it was a glitch, maybe something. I don't know, but it did seem like it's just going to start it all over again. So we'll see. I'll let you all know, but that is your next opportunity. There is kind of a really important part right here, isn't it? Right where we're at. So Keena's swimming around, and we got a little bit of a secret.
Yeah, so, I mean, you guys have probably noticed if you play this game, you're at this little spot, you're kind of, used to checking the nooks and crannies for those treasures. Yes. So in this area, there's like, there's a little exclamation mark off to the right in this little kind of area that's hidden by these rocks. But it's not a treasure, it's a secret boss. Yes. And it says something along the lines of, if you dare challenge me, da 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 da. Yeah, probably want to be careful with that for right now, or at least go safe before you do that. But as far as us talking about it is concerned, we're going to wait on that for just a minute, because until we get through this area and beat the final boss.
Of course. Yes, so a little bit of a secret there that we'll get to. Giant clam boss. But after that scene, you, of course, just keep going forward. I mean, you know, as usual. And now we get another kind of really cool kind of setting. You know, it's like a wrapped around staircase in a giant pool of water. And I think it's just Zidane. He's like, you know, why do I know this? That Gaia used to be covered by, well, what? Water and ocean.
Yeah. And they all kind of have that idea too. Like they all have that memory. I think it's whoever you have in there. It doesn't matter.
Yes.
Like, for example, Freya and Vivi, they're also like, well, I also have this memory, and, you know, I wasn't around back then, so how do I know this? So that's the whole thing that we're trying to get to the bottom of, is how the heck did they all have these memories where they weren't there, but they're seeing all these different things, you know, from different party members, experiences, all that kind of stuff. But yes, in general, Gaia did used to be covered by an ocean, and that's what we get from that. That's pretty much all there is there.
Yeah. Yep. And you could head back to Limblom right now. So this is 11 out of 18. Again, I don't have anything more on you on that. I'll fill you all in on the next
probably
episode.
Just the same thing.
I would imagine it probably just runs through it again, which is kind of weird. But anyways, can't go back now. 11 out of 18. And we are going to go ahead and move on to seed trivia before moving any further. Okay, well, here we go. Yet another seed trivia. Alex is on his rank 33. It's just gonna keep going, guys. I don't know what else to do at this point. I'm giving it all I got. So I'm running out of ideas, man. The pages are all frayed in these strategy. You know, they're smoking too. I'm flipping back and forth so much. All right, man. First question is going to be in Final Fantasy VIII. So in Ethstar, Ward's dress, I'm gonna call it dress. Dude's wearing a dress. Is white and brown.
False.
Doing some basic ones here for you. First, Final Fantasy VII. Cloud's Buster sword has 2 holes in it.
True.
All right, Final Fantasy 9. We're not to it yet. We will actually get to this phantom in a moment, but the Dark Phantom only uses dark matter and Ozma cards.
Ooh, false.
Okay, Final Fantasy 12. And this is in Zodiac Age, and this is very important, man, so I'm not sure how familiar you are with this, but certain spells, obviously you can't train, you have to find them in treasures, right? So silence can be found at either the Giza Plains during the Dry or at Lusu Mines.
True.
Final Fantasy X-2. You can steal a budget grenade from an Iron Giant.
That's true.
Final Fantasy 13. The Devastation Paradigm, 3-person one, and it is 2 commanders, 1 Ravager.
Devastation. False.
All right, and our last question. At home, when you get to home in the story, the only Albed primer is the Volume 20.
False.
All right, let's go over it. So, Final Fantasy VIII in Esthar, Ward's dress is white and brown. You said false. It is false. Do you know what color it is?
White and green.
Yep, sure is, my friend.
Right?
All right, don't know how you remember that, but Final Fantasy VII. Cloud's Buster sword has 2 holes. You said true. It is true. It's got 2 little holes. All right, Final Fantasy IX question was, the Dark Phantom only uses dark matter and Ozma cards. You said false. I'm pretty sure it's true, man. I'm pretty sure. I looked up the card hands, and they have the card hands for all the characters that play cards. Kind of strange. It's crazy. I didn't know that was a thing. And yep, dark matter and Ozma. Interesting.
Really, just those 2?
Apparently so. Yeah, apparently so. I don't, 100% check me on that, but I did look up the hands, and those were the only cards in the Dark Phantom's hand. All right, Final Fantasy XII, the whole silence can be found at either Giza Plains Dry or Lusu Mines. You said true, and it is true. Those are the either or, obviously, and so, yep, gotta find that. All right, Final Fantasy X-2, you can steal a budget grenade from Iron Giant. You said true almost instantly, and it is true. He's balling on a budget, man. He's got to get those budget grenades. They're a little bit cheaper than regular ones.
It's a horrible steal.
Well,
right? That's why I remember that.
You're like, oh, what is this? Final Fantasy 13, the Devastation Paradigm is 2 commanders, 1 Ravager. You said false. It is false. But do you know what it is?
See, I was trying to remember. Aggression?
Well, as far as what that paradigm is, dude, I got no clue. But for
Okay,
Devastation,
that's my guess.
Devastation is 2 commanders, 1 Sab. So instead of the Ravager, it's the Sab. So, all right. And our last question was Final Fantasy X. The only Albed primer at home was the Volume 20. You said false. It is false. There is
about 2.
I think there's at least one more. I looked at it very quickly, and so there's at least one more. I think Volume 21 and possibly another one. I'm not sure, but regardless, man, you almost did a clean sweep. You only missed 1 question, so you passed. There you go, pal.
Oh man, yeah. Heck yeah, man. Rank 34.
33, pal. Don't get ahead of yourself. All right, so.
I was trying to get a cheap one there.
Just for that, we're taking it back. No, I'm just kidding. So, all right. Well, Alex did get his rank 33, which is quite awesome, and we are going to go ahead and get back to Memoria. We go ahead and head up to the top of those stairs at the kind of the little ocean scene or whatever. You instantly get put in a boss battle against the Kraken. The Kraken. So. Interesting.
Unleash the Kraken.
Unleash the Kraken. Yeah, it's he actually looks pretty hysterical in my opinion. If I saw that, I probably would poop my pants a little bit, but at the same time, you just have to laugh. It's like, what is that thing, man? And
it's like an octopus thing or something.
Well, he can be quite annoying, but just know this going into this battle, anyone listening, is if Aiko and Dagger can defeat it alone, then you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
I don't know how they did that,
I
but
don't know how
anyways.
they did that either, man. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh. So steals right off the bat is 100% is that Genji helmet, so that kind of goes with that Genji armor that we talked about last episode. Definitely not the best, but the only second set. So there you go. 25% is wizard robe, so or rod rather, so I mean whatever. I don't understand this one bit,
Yeah.
man. So I just
Yeah.
I don't get it. But
It's really weird.
0.39% is, well, it's actually quite good. It's the glutton robe. No, I'm just kidding. Like,
Glutton
what are you
robe.
doing? The glutton robe for that percentage? So please don't kill yourself trying to get that. Goodness gracious.
But it's such a good robe for Kina.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
That is strange.
Hysterical.
So as far as attacks, this one likes to use freeze quite a bit.
Yes.
It has kind of a weird. This is something interesting that I actually never realized. So I looked it up. The right tentacle and the left tentacle. So you'll notice you've actually got 3 targets in this battle. The main, enemy boss.
Right.
Then the left tentacle, right tentacle. So right tentacle uses water gun, which I think is just water elemental.
Yeah, it's like
damage.
it's like one of the first water abilities that Squirtle gets, so it's pretty good.
Right. Yeah, pretty good on that. The left one uses ink gun.
I think it's just blind
just damage.
is all it does. I think it just blinds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then the only other things is just freeze. So body temp again is a good thing, and water gun, which is a big old magic spell that attacks the entire party. And I'm very, very upset that we don't actually get that spell.
I know,
really
right?
Cheap.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, and so, well, that's interesting because, I just tried to blast through this fight. I didn't do a whole lot, but let's just do the tentacles. I mean, can you kill them pretty easily? You know what I mean? Like, do they have low health?
So,
do you happen to know?
I don't usually, specifically target the tentacles because they're not that big of a deal. But if you're using a lot of multi-target spells, like maybe Thundaga on the whole crew, Ramu, all that kind of stuff, yeah, then that could happen. And then once they're taken out, then it just starts using a bunch of physical, leg attack, and can also counter with it. So that one actually sucks pretty bad.
So it might be better maybe to... I mean, honestly, blind isn't really that big of a deal. So if you just take out the right tentacle for water gun, then, I mean, you just leave one up. If you so choose. But like you said, I mean, I have never even attacked them once. I just go for the boss because he's really not that hard at all.
Yeah.
The only thing I have for that, and this actually goes for multiple bosses that have already occurred and coming up too, is, oh my gosh, please do not have return magic on for Amaranth.
I've seen that before.
Oh my, it made this. And that was the thing, and that's why this boss wasn't that hard. How do I know that? Well, because I fought him for 35 minutes because Amaranth kept countering his water gut with a water gut, and it kept healing him for 6,000. I'm like, dude, stop, man, just stop doing it.
Wow.
It's so
that happens.
Yeah, 2 steps forward, 1 step back was that battle. So I would not recommend having return magic on Amaranth for any of these battles, really.
There's an interesting strategy I saw online that you can use. I didn't think about this one. If you do happen to have return magic on someone like Vivi, you can equip magic LM null, which I didn't think of, but I guess that just basically makes it so it's non-elemental.
Interesting. Yeah, okay, well.
So you can do that.
And Amaranth doesn't have that, but yes, for Vivi, that's much better.
And then if you've got Kina, you can use level 3 defenseless or level 4 holy. So other things I've never done before.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. Interesting. So there you go. But like we say, it's really not that hard at all. I think it's actually one of the easiest ones. So maybe that's why they were able to kill it. But
yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Well, this is your 12th opportunity to head back to Limblum if you so choose for that side quest. 12 out of 18. So like I said, we'll just kind of go through those as we go. And moving forward, so this screen's pretty cool too. I mean, we say that for each one. It's like, oh, this screen's cool. But it is. It's just such a strange place, the settings just changes immensely from screen to screen sometimes. And so this one, it's just got that large, massive broken clock there. And not too much to do here. If you do look around, I think it might be on the right side of the screen. I'm trying to remember. That is where the rare Phantom card master is. So just another opportunity for cards.
Yeah, there's this bridge of broken debris and stuff like that. So you head over there to sort of a little platform. And then there's sort of these stairs up to the right and it's in one of those nooks back there.
Okay.
So yeah, another one. And also one thing. Well, actually, we already did mention. So this is the point where you're going to be encountering a lot of stilvas and a lot of behemoths.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. And where you need to go in this area is to the left. So head west from the next zone, and now it's just like I don't know, like a giant burning ball. I mean, essentially, it's what
Like
Zidane says. He's like, "Whoa, that's a huge fireball," which is not the case because Garland pipes in. He's like, "Hold up there, little pilgrim." He's like, the birth of Gaia. This is what this is the birth of Gaia. That happened over 5,000 years ago.
We're kind of going back in time almost, huh?
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of going
Right,
further
we saw
back.
the assimilation.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it kind of looks like a sun and all this stuff. But anyways, basically this is a really simple area. It's just a platform and a giant ladder that goes way the heck up there. So
yeah, it's with the giant fireball, and a little more that Garland does say and explains. He does say like, this moment that he's talking about, the birth of Gaia, I guess, was the height of Terra's prosperity. So, I mean, we have no idea how old Terra is. We can assume a very long time of this is what this planet does, is goes and assimilates other planets and stuff. But at this moment was the height of Terra's prosperity. They thought this is secure. Well, that's not how it happened. And so they hurry up and created Garland to handle all this stuff. Again, we know that, he is obviously 5,000 years old it's quite old, long time to grow that beard. And so
seriously.
After that conversation, don't head up the ladder yet. You want to head back to Limblum if you need to or whatever. That is your 13th. Yeah. So we're at 13 of 18. But once you do, either get back or just climb up the ladder, you get to a platform. Now this platform is quite important because if you want Doomsday, you might want to look around.
Yep. So right on the left. And it's a really small platform. You can't really miss it as long as you're checking the corners. So right on the left, you're going to find the Mace of Zeus, and this is Vivi's ultimate weapon.
Oh, yes.
It's pretty awesome. And yeah, like Mark said, it's got Doomsday on it, so.
Yeah, real awesome. And, you'll have an opportunity to test that out in a moment if you so choose. Yeah. But on the right side, so that was like kind of on the left like top corner, I guess you could say. On the right corner is where, as we just talked about with Sea Trivia, is that Dark Phantom. He is not a very nice phantom. He will scream at you. So if you talk to him, he's going to yell in all caps at you. So just letting you know that. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. So obviously the only other thing to do is to climb up that ladder. You kind of go into this building. It's really interesting, man. I like this because it's like, the architecture of it, because you climb up to it, it's really cool looking. I don't know what it's supposed to be. And then, of course, you get in the room, and it's just like a bunch of doors.
Yeah.
And I think you do have control, so I think you move forward, and either maybe to the top door, or maybe you just move forward. And then it, like, shatters. And then it's like, you're like in the cosmos or something, man. It's like, it's insane. So, and then, yes. So, I mean, it's an awesome thing. We can look around, but you actually can't really look around because you are instantly put in to a boss battle against none other than the Lich, which... You see him like,
we know this one.
Oh, hi there, pal. Yeah. It's interesting because he doesn't say anything to Zidane. You think he would, right? So it's almost as if, like, we defeated the Guardians originally, and maybe these are, like, copies of them or something. I'm not too sure. But it's I don't know. I felt a little snubbed that he didn't acknowledge me because I kind of kicked his butt. And so it's just,
Would have been nice.
Yeah, it would have been nice to be acknowledged. But... The steals for him are pretty, I don't know, they're as usual as, I guess, subpar in here. But 100% is Genji gloves, so again, we're kind of just completing that second set. If you want it, that would be the last item. And then 25% is the Siren's Flute, and then 6.25% is Black Ropes. So, I mean, honestly, get the Genji gloves, and I wouldn't even worry about the other two things.
Exactly. And then his attacks are pretty much exactly the same. That's what's kind of weird. Like, the last one is the dude that we've already fought, so we pretty much know what the dealio is.
Yeah.
And you could probably have guessed that was going to be the case because we've already fought the other three. So, anyways, level 5 death, straight up death. Got Death Cutter, which is the Doom attack, Stop, Venom, and of course his Earthquake and Earthshake attacks and all that kind of stuff. So.
Dude's all about death, man. Yeah, so I mean, obviously level 5 death is the big one to kind of just look at your character's level. I mean, it's It's just one of those things. It's probably very unlikely that all 4 of your characters would be divisible by 5 at any given time, but I don't know. Just in case the stars aligned for you there, like you will get an instant game over if that's the case. And then Death Cutter's an interesting one. I think it does do a little bit of damage, and then it can apply Doom, or it does apply Doom. So I don't think there's anything you can do about that, right? I mean, it's Doom.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about that, but not a big deal if it's just one character.
Exactly. Yeah, that's true. And so if you just want to deal with the Earth-based attacks, I mean, you already know Feather Boots, some of the other few items, that maybe Gaia Gear or something, I'm trying to remember, that reduce Earth damage. Easy again, though. I mean, and I'm saying easy, but then again, yes, keep in mind, I have followed our guide that we have laid out this whole entire time, so naturally I'm a god in this, and I have everything. So, pretty easy, if you guys are as good as me. But you can head back to Limblum, so we're at 14 of 18. So many opportunities. And so after you do defeat them, and maybe head back or not, you do have a tent and save point on the left. I think it is a full-on...
Yeah.
Actually, I don't remember if it's a bubble or if it's just one of the invisible ones. Probably want to maybe save it.
Ones, I think.
It is? Okay. And so probably save it, use a tent, whatever. And then also, well, if you went for it, the whole prize here is waiting for you.
Yeah, this is a really iconic place. So basically, off to the right, if you were able to get to this point in the game in less than 11 hours, then you get basically the best weapon in the whole game, which is the Excalibur 2 for Steiner.
Yes.
So we might have to talk about that a little bit in the side quest portion, because there's a lot to be said with it, and there's a lot of different strategies. But basically what's really funny is if you do happen to get there in time, you get like a little note. It's to Gilgamesh. And it's saying along the lines of like, I know you've been looking for all these swords. I found this one, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah, Excalibur 2 is epic.
Do you know what the attack power is on that? I know Ultima weapon is 100, so I was trying to think what... I've never even looked at it. I mean, naturally, I didn't get it.
I think it's 120.
Wow. Yeah, that's crazy,
I think it's 120. It's definitely more than Ultima weapon.
Yeah. That's awesome. So yeah, if you were a boss and you got that, congrats. I probably never will myself, but that's okay. I'm living through all of you who have gotten it. And well, that is Memoria. We would move forward, but we'd move on to the last area of the game. So we are not going to do that. We are going to pause right here, and we are absolutely going to, well, I'd imagine we're going to hit up the bosses and all that kind of stuff in the next episode. We thank you all for hanging out with us. We're so glad that you found the podcast and or enjoy it as much as we love putting out these episodes. You can stop off at FinalStopFinalFantasyTalks.com. It's just our website. We have some cool website stuff there, I guess. And also we have an Instagram, same handle as the podcast name. Just same old thing that we've been saying for 40 episodes now. So we are very excited to be wrapping up Final Fantasy IX. We do have a surprise for you all for that last episode coming your way in a couple of weeks. And as a disclaimer too, just as I'm sure you've all noticed, Alex did move.
Yeah.
It's just
so
kind of is what it is right now. It's his situation that's just gonna be for a little bit here. So
yeah, we were trying to figure out like I guess a way to deal with it, like a good place.
Yes.
In my new spot to actually set up for the microphone and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it's just on a busy intersection, so we're just gonna have to kind of deal with it for a little bit. So.
Yes. So we do apologize for the background noise, but you know what? That's just life. It happens. I tried to tell him to buy a studio, but he wouldn't listen to me. So, anyways, no, I'm just kidding. Sound studio. But that was just our disclaimer. So we do, like I said, do apologize for him, but it's cool. It's whatever. But that will do it for us. We thank you so much, and we'll catch you next time. I'm Mark.
And I'm Alex.
And this is Final Stop for Final Fantasy Talks.